He was a Catholic himself. And so he's interviewing her because she was an out and out atheist. Again, she didn't push it out of people. Most of us don't. And so given her age, which at that time was somewhat unusual, they didn't live as long.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm up. You should be able to join the chat room now and see the broadcast.
Of course, she picked up on it right away. Oh, not in the least.
Yeah.
It was such a joy to watch that program that day.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
No, there should be something. Do you subscribe to our channel? You should be able to, you should see something that says live. Go to the live tab. Eileen, can you do this on your phone?
Yeah.
You're on, just go to YouTube to our channel and you should see something live. Well, that's because you subscribe. Okay. We'll go over it later then. We need to start our meeting. All right, thanks. Bye. Yeah, please. Well, I've got it right here. You don't need to. That's okay. I just wanted to make sure it's working.
It's about 5 after 11, 6 after. So I guess we should get started on our meeting. By now, you've all had an opportunity to get acquainted with each other, and I welcome you to a meeting of the Humanist of Tampa Association. But this day, we're combining with Atheists of Florida for a joint presentation. And Judy is going to have some issues that she would like to discuss, especially related to our political situation. But this is our 513C, so we don't recommend candidates or politicians or parties. Nevertheless, the issues
Nice.
around which our politics
Thank you.
revolves something that we want to be able to discuss rather thoroughly, and Judy's going to help us do that. This is our first meeting in a while. We have previously not had so many people at a meeting, so we decided to move it all over to Dunedin, and where we meet every second Saturday. And you were all invited because this group is part of Human Society. So, at any rate, all I can say is welcome. If you have questions about the nature of humanism or atheism, we have pamphlets, we have cards, we have various material, and you can even talk to us and tell you about whatever it is that we know about it. Now, most of you already know a lot about it, so belabor that point too much. But I think it's about time, perhaps, to hand the meeting over to Judy, who has a full schedule.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Jim. Welcome, everybody. For those who don't know me, I'm Judy Adkins. I'm on the board of directors for Atheists of Florida, as is several of the people here. What I wanted to go over, there are a number of things I wanted to go over today, but as we advertised, it's about the Florida legislature, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the uncertain of what passed this year. And I will be writing this up as an email, so if you don't really need to take notes unless you just really want to.
First, because that's the least.
Well, the good is kind of a negative in that the bills we were concerned about that didn't pass. There weren't any good things that came out of the legislature. But there was a number of bills that did not pass. Yes, and the Senate this year for the 2019 session had 988 bills introduced, and the House had 2,506 bills. But the House has all the appropriation bills, and we monitored about 22 of those. Because they were seriously impeding on religious freedom. And by religious freedom, I mean separation of state and church. And thank goodness all of these bills failed, except for one. Well, not thank goodness all of them. There were a few that we wanted to have done. All right, and you? Cedric, nice to meet you. I'm Judy Adkins with Atheists of Florida. I'm good, thank you.
When we just entered into the discussion phase, Judy is giving our preliminary remarks. And so, Judy. Well, let's Cedric introduce himself.
Cedric, maybe we should go around the room. Why don't we go around the room and people introduce us? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Man.
No, Cedric, you're not the entertainer.
Yes.
Should I ask?
Eileen, I'm sorry, Eileen. Eileen, I'm sorry. Were you monitoring? No, I told you not to. Never mind. We have a visitor in our chat room. So could you monitor that so I can talk? Thank you. We are also simulcasting on YouTube. So people who can't come physically to the meeting can at least attend the meeting.
The simulcast involves just you.
Yeah, it's not focused on any of you all, but it will pick up what you say if you say something. Okay, going back to the good, the bad, the ugly, and the uncertain from this year's legislative session. The bills, like I said, the good was that some of these bills didn't pass. The study of the Bible and religion, which is already on the books, but what they wanted to do was make it a mandated, let's see how to say this. They wanted each school to have to be required to offer this as an elective. Currently, the schools can offer it as an elective if they want, but they don't have to. But the bill wanted to offer it, have to offer it as an elective, and it was to only study the Christian Bible, not world religion. The next bill that, well, you could bring your own. Seriously, that's what it said. So my option was, if they pass this bill, we're going to ask them, we're going to offer them the Skeptic's Guide to the Bible or the X-rated Bible for students to have. Yeah.
Well, there's the do-way.
Right. Well, and personally, I think a class on world religions and comparing religions is probably a good thing, as long as it's not focused on just Christianity, which this bill was going to be. Yes, right. So, you know, that I'm sure this will be back next year, because the woman who introduced it is the, I always want to say Kim Daniels, and it's not Kim Daniels. It's the woman from Jacksonville who's a Democrat, whose name I, yeah. All right. An exorcist. Yes. The next bill that did not pass, which I'm really surprised given the current climate, was the heartbeat bill that would ban abortions at 6 weeks. It's only a matter of time. It will be back next year. I am positive of that. Yeah. Unless, Yeah. Yeah. Huh?
The non-heartbeat bill, the two-heartbeat bill?
No, once a heartbeat can be detected. No, it is not. It is not a heartbeat. It's, yeah, it's just a muscle. Right.
Call it anything but a cycle.
So what is the sound they're hearing?
They're hearing because they're schizophrenic.
Well, no, they have to have a special device to detect a fetal heartbeat. And it's like, you know how it's like a muscle spasm kind of thing. It's just a muscle going. It's not a heart.
Even Judaism says that too.
Yeah, so where does this all come from?
Well,
It's like acting-
Go ahead.
Well, contraception, that's why they don't want.
Right.
Because you're really want that baby. No, what's your point? I think.
Oh.
Oh, I thought it was 7. 7 was the age of reason, and you had communion, and after that, then you were sinful. Yeah, 9 is confirmation, which is another.
Oh, it actually does. No, it actually addresses abortion. No, no, Bible. There's instructions on how to. No, it does not. It does not. And
If they're so religious, why are they such thieves and corrupting?
yes.
Does not that it say in the Bible, thou shalt not steal? Not that I have read the Bible, I'm just saying.
Well, religion can justify it.
Yes, exactly.
That is so true.
They're cafeteria kind of. They pick and choose what they want to cover, and but as far as there are instructions in the Bible on how to cause a woman to have an abortion. The priest has to do it. Yeah. So, who knows why they decided this? It is more, it's a control. It is not. Right.
So, or kill living Bible.
And it's okay to have guns,
There's no right and wrong.
Right.
kill older people, but it's not.
Okay. But then you know what you have.
My point is.
Even
Jim?
from a traditional viewpoint, until the last century, the Catholic Church didn't consider that it had a soul until it drew the breath of
Yes.
life.
Right.
That's why I quote that all the time to people, and they don't.
And then,
There's a reason.
Even I remember that.
If you look at
And if
the
you know
Bible,
someone who's gonna kill themselves and you don't report them, then that's still a crime.
if,
Yeah.
Because then it says that you're involved in it and you're not allowed to help anyone.
if you look at the Bible as Joe has done and has recommended, the Bible is an excellent source for converting theists to atheists.
yes, it is. All you gotta do is read that Bible.
But you consider that there are many occasions when God supposedly instructs the Israelite army to go out and slay every man, woman, and child in the enemy camp.
No, They weren't to slay the virgin women, they were to take them for themselves. Oh, that was, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, yes.
But it wouldn't take but more than a single instance of this occurring to undercut.
Okay.
The argument that God holds sacred every other thing, because perfectly willing, and in fact, the children, every human being was once a child. We grow up, and guess what? We die. So
This is.
Who is that?
God.
Oh, yeah.
This is.
Yes.
Yes.
Religion exists for one purpose.
Those
To raise
churches
money.
make a lot of money.
And the Catholic Church made that a clause when they were starting to go downhill. They decided that rather than become more modern like the
Yeah.
Protestant churches were doing, and didn't do that well from that model, to go the other way and to become more stringent. And the thing they chose, and I have papers that come from them showing this strategy, was to take up abortion as a
Yeah. Yeah.
cause.
I would like to get through all the bills that we wanted to discuss. The next bill that we were monitoring that fortunately didn't go through had to do with the educational standards, in which I thought I wrote it down. Which included under the science standards that controversial theories and concepts shall be taught in a factual, objective, and balanced manner. So, which would only be evolution and climate change would be the only ones they would consider controversial. The next bill was back to abortion, that the fetus can feel pain, and their thing was that it could happen at 6 months. Yeah, really. And it was basically bad science that they were using to determine whether the brain's not developed enough for the fetus to feel pain at that point. The next few were allocations that were asked from the budget about funds that were for religious purposes, basically. One of them was because they wanted to offer a religious alternative to Halloween, and they were asking the state for money to fund that, which they didn't get. So there were a number of those. Mount Vernon Missionary Baptist Church wanted funds to expand their building. And this was, I can't remember what county it was in. So there were a number of those there were about 6 of those that were monitored that didn't get funds. There was one that we monitored that did get funds, and this is the one I have under uncertain. And that was for Jewish, a safety initiative for Jewish schools in Tallahassee, the Tallahassee Jewish community. And they were asking for money to harden their building against terrorist attack. Now, well, what I have found since is that groups that are are targeted by people on the terrorist list can ask for funds and get funds to reinforce their buildings. I'm torn about that because, yeah, we need to protect all schools from terrorists. And part of the reason that I'm really torn about it is because they don't treat white nationalists as terrorists in this country.
Also, guns, that's simple, there won't be
Yeah.
terrorists.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen anytime soon. Yes, it is.
Yes, we don't want to watch people that they don't make it alone.
However, there is a difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, in my opinion. And I consider myself an anti-Zionist, but I don't consider myself anti-Semitic. Oh, no, a lot of Jewish people are not religious, but they support Zionism. We have a good friend who is that way. Can we, yeah. What they're saying is they want to install security cameras and bulletproof glass and things like that. But then they add this little thing to make educational programs better for children. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, and what's the accountability on this? Churches are not required to account for any of their spending. No. Yeah, exactly. That's my problem with it, because white nationalists aren't on this list. Yeah. So it's basically Muslims that are on the list. I went and looked at it. Yeah. So that's what it is. And so there is.
Maybe what we need is the president to I wish we could get him to pay for stuff he's causing. You know, so
Yeah.
instead of building walls against the border, we're building walls against our religious people.
Yeah. And it's not going to work. I mean, it's not. They can have, you can print a gun with plastic off of a 3D printer. It's not going to be detected by a metal detector. You walk into the school and shoot people. So, no, you can't. Jim?
For now, plastic printable gun is only available in single shot.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem very-
Right.
Not dangerous, but it's only a matter of time. But
Yeah.
it's only a matter of time before they can print out or anything else you want.
Right.
Why not? But the more serious issue, it seems to me, is what amount of social protection do institutions like the church have? I mean, we ought to do our most to protect all public places, stadiums, shopping centers, and so on and so forth, because they're all vulnerable. And we as a people wish to protect ourselves from people who are willing to kill us. And that's not unreasonable in itself. But the problem comes that there are limited resources which can be applied to this.
You cannot live in an egg chain about just.
No, you can't. You cannot protect yourself from everything. You can't. There's no
But
way.
it seems to me that if somebody who is creative should invent some sort of an option. So the churches that have been attacked, synagogues, African American churches, and any other institutions that have become the target of right-wing, right nationalists or whoever, and that are routinely blown up or fired at, or whose congregations have been killed, and so on and so forth, should enjoy some sort of extension of police protection somehow. But I don't know how. I don't know how.
Disagree with that. Let's not protect the churches. That's exactly. If you believe God is gonna protect you, don't worry.
That's right.
Besides, and they're gonna go to heaven.
Oh, well, except the Jews. Jews don't go to heaven. Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is that what provisions exist in policing policy that would enable people who have been the target to have some sort of protection? I mean, if you're a member of this group, for instance, and some wacko decides that he's going to blow up the atheist or whatever, then and has done so in the past, then perhaps we could ask that an officer be present whenever we meet, or some other such. I don't know why.
But you cannot.
That would
This is
be legal.
illogical to believe that you can be protected from crazy people. You cannot. I mean, that itself is totally evident. You cannot. Anyone who kills anyone, it doesn't matter, is crazy. That's simple. That's insane. Any human being that kills another human being, whether it's war, whether is insane. And I work for the veterans, but I know that's insane. That itself is insane. So how can you protect insanity? Maybe through mental health.
Better mental health
mental
services.
But
Yes.
that's not happening.
No, it's not.
Where's their definition of
Yes, exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's not where we have most of them.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, you know.
We have one.
No, I don't have one. I heard that.
But what are you going to do with that ring thing, which I see at work? I don't have anything, no one's coming after
And
me.
it was just maybe.
But when you're at work and you see this guy near your house, what are you going? By the time you call the cops, they're gone. They're done.
Oh, sure.
What? That's a waste of money.
I think that's good advice.
Well, self-preservation is part of the Constitution, right? So churches should have the ability, and they do have the ability to hire security.
They should.
Just like
They have so
just
much
like
money,
all
they
of
can
us,
hire
right?
anyone.
Yeah.
Just like any one of us, a house of worship, doesn't necessarily dictate what that structure looks like. It could be a home.
Yeah.
It could be a house of worship. right?
And they
So
could
you
do
have
that,
to
they could even
provide some security,
They can get a volunteer person to stand there.
and that's how you do that.
Yeah, that is right. And also, it may not, you know, you just not discourage somebody from taking on that particular person. You know?
The issue is when everyone leaves, that there still could be an incident of.
Yes.
Some sort when no one's in the building.
Right.
Not too much you can do about that, unfortunately. Somebody can go around and do that
Yes.
to this house over there if you want to.
Or to this library.
Right. You know, and to that extent.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
We still got them.
Just like. Confident all these different places.
No,
Well,
they are always going to be with us, as long as there are gross injustices. And there's one of them.
Yes.
So the question
They're spewing hatred and basically I'm a non-violent person, but sometimes I get so angry at this guy, orange human being, not a that I feel like, I wonder why he's so protected. You know, I mean, and I'm not an angry, but he makes me, he has brought out the worst in me.
Yeah.
The worst.
Me too. That is sad. But that's the way it is. Yeah. I've been asked to put a microphone on because, and I bet this is dead because it's been on for a while.
No, it doesn't, it's not.
Oh, it's not battery operated. Okay. All right. So then let's move on. Those are basically the good things that happened. These bills did not get passed. And
No, I meant,
Oh, no, they can hear me fine. It's you all they can't hear. Because well, maybe not anymore since we plugged that in. But anyway, so the bad ones, there were some bills that we did want passed. Okay. That did not get passed, unfortunately. So we'll try again next year, I guess. The first one was banning conversion therapy on people younger than 18. For those who may not know what conversion therapy is, it's it's pray the gay away, basically, is what it's called. Pray. Yes. And that's unfortunate. And Tampa itself, the city had a position or a ordinance that would not allow conversion therapy at all. And they got sued because it was an invasion, it was a violation of free speech. The counselors were saying that you can't tell me what I can say to a client. We do that on a number of issues, but the courts upheld the free speech approach to that. I still think that it should be banned on children and young adults because, well, I think it should be banned. Yes, I agree, but at least for children and young adults. It does a great deal of damage to young people to have conversion therapy put upon them. There was a bill that covered sex ed in the schools. That was great. It was a great bill. So it obviously didn't have a chance. Yes. And one of the things that's so important about this issue is that in Pinellas County, amazingly enough, a anti-choice religious fundamentalist group is the group that does the sex education in public schools. Yeah. Yes, the abstinence until marriage group. So that's what those kids over there are getting, is sex education.
Why does it have to be called sex
Well, fortunately they have the internet, but a lot of the information on the internet is pretty, yeah. So then there was another bill that was security for Jewish day schools that I don't know why I have that there. I have it. That's wrong. Anyway, that didn't. It came under the same thing as the terrorist group, getting money for schools. And then there's the really ugly bill that passed, and that's the vouchers for religious schools. So even though our Constitution, the Florida Constitution, states clearly that money cannot go directly or indirectly to a secular school or business or anything secular. I mean, not secular, non-secular. They did pass the vouchers. Now, granted, it's limited to 18,000 kids for this year, and the income level is pretty low. Next year, they're just going to increase that. Well,
I'm thinking if you send a whole bunch of kids that come from non-religious homes and then they put them into a religious charter school.
It's not a charter school. Charter schools are different than private schools. These are private schools. There is no accountability for private schools. No. They don't have to meet any kind of standards. Now, the caveat on that is that they're saying they do have to meet certain criteria, the same criteria as the other scholarship that's used, where companies can give their money to these scholarships that can be used in private schools, and then take a big tax break off their taxes for giving that money. But the companies are no longer funding that the way they used to. That's why they had to move to this, so they could give taxpayer money to the private schools. So there was a big drop in the money they were getting from companies to support private schools. Jim?
It seems difficult to understand how they can reconcile the drive to provide private education. But to provide private education that doesn't integrate with the public education, which is a declared state responsibility. The education of children is even alluded to in the state constitution. In that Florida must provide an education up to a certain level, which I forget what.
Because they themselves are uneducated, why would they want to choose? Come on.
Well, because.
Uneducated doesn't mean, I'm not talking about degrees, for one thing.
Right.
Uneducated is when you are just listening to Hannity, Sean Hannity.
Right.
And
Well,
they
what
are
we're-
uneducated in the first place.
What we're talking about, however, is what the founders thought would be necessary to constitute a decent society, and an educated citizenry was thought to be what was necessary in order for democracy to function at all, for that matter. And so, how it's possible to reconcile a system in which private education is a substitute, basically, for public, and yet it is not accountable at all. I mean, it should meet the same standards as public.
That's.
Right.
Previously,
Yes.
One of the main reasons is to allow people who want to educate their children, not make them in a religious belief to do so. Again, public feed off the public control.
Well, the counter argument to that would be, well, the religious institutions that we have, churches and so forth, should provide for the religious education of those who are interested in providing.
But that will take the money away from their brains.
Oh, yeah,
And they're happy to do that.
Yes. Yes.
Anybody done how many of these religious, private schools will be getting the money? Like, in other words, are they mostly Christian? Are they mostly Lutheran? They're Baptist ones? I mean, this is what I'm wondering about. How is it equally going to be all different religions?
I would like to see a chart.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because that's what I'm wondering about.
Well,
You know?
this is how they frame it. They frame it as though the government is providing the money. It's couched in the voucher.
Right.
Each one of us taxpayers.
Right. And we get
have
to
the ability-
choose.
We choose that, right? So that's the whole.
Right.
That's how they can do private, because I, taxpayer, should be able to take my tax dollars and go to a private school.
Yeah.
That's the concept.
Right.
Right? That's why they're using the word voucher.
Right.
Instead of
Exactly.
money. And I should be able to go where I want to, instead of public school. So you won't, right? Because you're not, right, so in their eyes, you won't, because you won't be requesting the scholarship, right?
No, but
So your voucher money is going to the public school. Okay? So you see, that's the loophole. I don't want to go to
Yes. Well, like I have no children, never had any children, but I've always had to pay school tax. But that's our future, and I don't mind paying that. I do not object to that.
They are not paying all that money to the teachers. I'm not a teacher, but I respect teachers.
Oh, yes,
Really.
exactly.
And they are just totally stealing from the teachers. The only reason we have some poor teachers is because who wants to go into teaching and put their own money? Teachers are so disrespected here.
Oh,
in this
yes,
country. It's
they are.
pitiful.
It is
They're
pitiful.
disrespected. Exactly.
Where would all male teachers, and then they would fight for more money because, you know what I mean?
Where would
Mostly
any
female
human
teachers.
being be in any position, and name anything without a teacher?
Right.
There is nothing, I'm talking from the Pope or whatever who is, except for Donald Trump, he never went to a teacher. That's what happens when you don't go to a teacher. Really?
Anyway, forgot what I was gonna say. So I expect that we will see an expansion next year of this request for how many vouchers they can give. And they are, I know what I was gonna say. DeSantis, our esteemed governor, says that if it's public money going to education, then it's a public school. But they don't hold them accountable the way they hold public schools. So it's difficult to see how that's going to work. Yes.
You have to talk directly.
Yes.
So we will pass it now, like, the talk instead.
Yeah. And then the one bill that we didn't monitor that we should have monitored was the restoration of voting rights to ex-felons. Restoration of voting rights to ex-felons. And I was taken aback by what they did with that, because that's not what was supposed to be done with that. That's not what we were asking for. So that one we missed monitoring, not that, and alerting people to what they were doing, and trying to get people to respond. Because what we do with these things is, as they come up to the floor or whatever, as they're moving through committee, we alert, we have like 700, 800 people on our mailing list. So we alert them, that's just Floridians. And we alert them to what's going on and ask them to call their representatives and their senators and make known how they feel about a bill. We can't tell them what to tell the people, but we can ask them to make known what they're feeling about it. Because we are a 501c3. So we would lose our tax exempt status. Yes. We did vote. Well, they're not dragging it out. They're making it impossible for a number of people to be able to get their rights back. They've never enforced that before. Never have they enforced that for anything before. So, and most of the counties know they're not going to get any of this money back. They write it off as uncollectible. And this is just pure vengeance and that kind of meanness that we see. It's the new cruelty. Yes.
Come down to the practical.
Well, yes, that's very true. And male. And male. Yes. Well, there are mean females, but the benefit definitely goes to. There are plenty of times.
But it is coming back. That's the worst part.
Yes.
And there is pretty much open discrimination. Pretty much, I would label it as open. And so much religiosity, it is.
Yes.
Everyone is basically praying all the time.
Yes.
Instead of working, you pray. Why don't you work instead of praying? But they pray.
And,
It's
and
ridiculous.
yes, it
in a
is. I
government
agree.
facility.
I definitely agree with that. But it is the challenge that we have. And for next year, what I'm looking for are some volunteers who want to monitor bills as they come up. Take on 1 or 2 bills, that's all. And just monitor it and let us know if there's something that needs to be addressed with that bill, and we can do training. Having said all this negative stuff, we did have a big win this week in the U.S. House of Representatives, where the Equal Rights Act was in the House. I don't know if we'll go anywhere in the Senate, but in the House, the Equal Rights Act was amended to include gender identity in gays and give them protection under civil rights. Because currently, they're not protected. So they could, if somebody finds out they're gay, they can be kicked out of their house, they can be fired from their job, and they have no recourse for that from protection for civil rights violation. So that's okay. Well, how so? Don't worry.
No, he's like, whoever votes that they have to vote.
Well, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Yes. Let him speak. Yeah.
I mean, the idea
Exactly.
And that's what is that they can see that I'm out
Yes.
from far away. How would I know you're gay? You don't tell me.
well,
How do I know if you're heterosexual?
Yeah.
How do I know?
Like the military?
Well, I'm being torn about it, because of conflating the two.
Yes.
I think that's where I'm torn with it.
And that's understandable.
I
And it's,
understand that something on that level, right, is one is inhumane.
no one has ever it's obvious. Yes. So the question of being known is moot. You must know, otherwise it would be.
But how would they know, going back to gay issue, how would you know if the person is coming to my house in a relationship? Or,
well,
Well, I think
you
so.
see what I mean?
yeah,
The only way you would know something like that is
Exactly.
that's right.
That's
well, but that can be for any reason. Right. So the issue becomes not only that being the reason, it could be any reason. So I think the issue is more broader than just that one particular issue. Because if a person has that type of control to evict you on that reason, they can have control to evict you for other reasons. Right. So the question becomes what barriers or parameters does this person have?
I mean, I'm not a big because I
Right, exactly. So if that's the reason, then can the person be evicted?
I don't know.
You don't pay.
Right.
Right. So an issue can be whatever this person who has this authority to evict should have some parameters
Yes.
of what they need to evict a person on, because you're right, they can just say, I don't like that you're liberal. I don't like that you're this.
Well,
I
as a
don't like
landlord,
that.
you're there one time. Unless I discriminate by age or race. Jim?
Well, I was going to point out that in 1957, the United Nations came up with a Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and it established all the rights that we currently enjoy in our First Amendment Constitution, plus certain additional other material rights, the right to food, housing, education, so forth. Every nation, or almost every nation, signed on to it, but the United States did not. And if we had a universal declaration of human rights, it means universal. It means that no person anywhere can be deprived of their human rights except by process of law, if that involves the transgression of the prison, all that stuff. But nevertheless, such an idea that it is lawful to discriminate against someone because they are gay or because they're of an ethnic minority or for any reason, there is no reason that it's acceptable to transgress against the human rights of another person.
But at the same time, people, I really think there is such a, people think this country, and I'm not criticizing because whatever I am is because of this country. But the universal thinking is, let's not criticize, America is the greatest. There is discrimination a lot, and they don't want to admit, if only they would admit that there's discrimination. And I hate to say that African Americans I know quite a few who are discriminating against some of the patients who are gay and transgender. And I'm thinking, hello, you have forgotten what you were before, how you felt or your ancestors felt, and you're doing the same thing? What is that?
After the Civil War, when we created the country of Liberia, the former slaves, which they did in fact. Quite a few moved to Liberia. The first things they did was take the citizens of Liberia and throw them into slavery.
Well, again,
So it's a universal truth.
that's the conundrum that I have is what you're saying. God bless you with that. There's going to be some that have with gay,
Right.
with gay people.
Yeah.
But complaining that with a person who you've never met before, just walking in your store is something different, right? I'm just walking in the store and you discriminate against. With a gay person, you have to have at least a conversation.
But what I'm saying is that
I know that I'm gay.
I know quite a few. I mean, I work with them. They have been discriminated. Their family has been discriminated, the African Americans. And then they do the same thing to the gay patients. And I'm like, listen.
Well, that's what I'm trying to explain.
Yeah.
There is a difference.
But they know that they know this person is.
Well,
You have to know that.
Yeah, they know and they discriminate, is what I'm
Right,
saying.
right. The difference is you don't have to know.
yeah,
An African American to discriminate.
right.
It's not apples and oranges.
Yeah.
You're right.
I think that's where it becomes.
Right.
So they need to be educated.
Yeah.
Right, there's a-
They need to be educated on, because they probably have family members who are gay.
Right, exactly. Well, but here's my concern about what you're saying is that I assume this is either a hospital facility where people are letting their own religious beliefs override the welfare of those people.
Exactly.
And that is a problem. But you're right that now I've known a lot of transgender people, and trust me, there are a lot of them you can tell right away they are not what they seem to be. And that's not to mean anything bad. It's just that it's, they're balding and they look very male, but they're dressed as female. And their voice and stuff. But
Those are the ones that haven't had the hormones,
well,
or not.
anyway, it is a process. Yeah. Yeah, yes, right. Oh, he was gay. No, he never said it because at the time he couldn't say it. Yes, yes.
gay is.
Yeah. Jim,
I didn't see it.
yeah, it's an assumption. Jim?
So there is every evidence that human beings, generally speaking, discriminate.
Yes.
And they behave outrageously.
Yes.
And we ought to keep in mind that human history is strewn with a long, and very discouraging tendency of human beings to work themselves up into such a way they wage war on each other simply because of some supposed difference.
Yes.
Now, the commonality to all these things, the long thousands of years of history of these things happening, shows us that the agent that is most common in all of these conflicts is religion.
Yes.
Yes,
Religion makes it possible
yes.
to certify that your beliefs, your assessment of another person is contradictory to God's desires. So
That's what makes us-
Yes.
Those African Americans no more than European.
Right.
Same thing. They're all the same. Their compass is a moral. They're making-
Right, exactly.
That's what they-
Exactly.
That's exactly what they are.
Not human.
That is so true.
The bottom line is that we are all born racist and forbidden. What separates us is the degree to which we act upon.
I disagree with that.
There is not a person that-
They learned that. They learned that. That's taught. Yes.
But you can change. You can change.
Yeah.
What we learn, hopefully, during the nurture of our character and our lives, is to be as little of this act on these urges as little as possible.
Well, here's the experiment, right? You could take someone from rural, wherever. Yeah. There's a rural areas here too.
Yes, there are.
But that's like rural, take them out of that environment, put them into a more cohesive urban environment. And the individuals in the environment that you have taken them out of, do you think they're gonna act the same?
I think they're just as racist.
I think they're gonna act differently. Right, so it's the environment, right, so we're not born, so that goes
That's,
to that
yeah, that's my,
concept
I
that
would
we're
disagree
not
with it.
born.
We're not born that way.
Right,
We learn
because
it.
the environment, we just did it, just right now, we just did an experiment, where that person can change to a different environment. Well, I think that makes sense.
Yes.
To do
The
that.
nurturing goes way, way back.
Yeah.
You can even.
Yes, exactly. If you took a white child, newborn, and put it into a black family, they're not going to grow up hating black people. Yeah, and vice versa. Exactly. And that's who you're going to associate with.
Is an American.
No, no, it's,
Right, it doesn't
It's-
exist.
yeah.
Nowhere else.
It
Doesn't culture, no, nationality, we are culture. No.
Oh, they didn't have the Irish.
Indians are the most racist people.
I'm not saying someone's behavior can't be good. What I'm saying is race.
The concept of race,
Race is an American.
well, actually, it was invented by anthropologists, not to be used the way we use it, but to more talk about nationality than to talk about differences between people. Well, the Bible says, yeah,
Well, I mean, but that, but that in itself, see, there is no country called black.
right,
So that's an American thing.
yes.
Right? Find the country of black, right? There is no country.
Well, most Americans
So we're
think
nationality.
Africa is a country and not made up of various countries. Right.
African American is
Yeah.
nationality is I'm American.
Right.
Here we talk about race.
Yes.
Right? Black. Right? So what is that?
It jumps really like, oh,
Yeah, because it's not out there.
now.
Yeah, it's not out there. French, you know, they-
Right.
they, you know, probably subscribe to. It's definitely.
Well, we were,
Yes, we were. I think we
Well, slavery was always around. It
Yes.
just wasn't as,
And it still exists. We went to Cincinnati and we visited the Underground Railroad Museum. And I was amazed that they're talking about the existence of much more slavery today than I thought possible in 2019.
Yeah. Because of war. Right?
Yes.
The conqueror would
Yes.
win and the whole.
Right.
Some adventure type of thing. This country, that's what makes it, that's why some people come here don't quite get it, of the brutality of it and how brutal it was.
may I get into,
Human history shows us that people are capable of tremendous change.
Exactly.
Yes.
All the time. Yeah, we are infinitely malleable in our ability to acquire different kinds of standards, different levels of comfort. When you are in a relatively unsophisticated, undeveloped society, you begin to be more comfortable in a very narrow circle.
Yeah.
Most people grew up in a village, 25 to 30 people at most.
Never went out very far outside that village.
And we still tend to relate mostly to those who are around, immediately around us. But now we live in a sophisticated culture. We watch television and movies and that sort of thing, and we've become acquainted with so many different kinds of people, finding in them much that is a reflection of ourselves. So we will change. We have changed enormously, but our large-scale ignorance of history as a society is such that we don't appreciate how much we have changed, and which also allows us to simultaneously think of how much we can change. And so that's our task here right now.
Yeah, that's right. We evolved.
I'd like to point out that one of the reasons and we were mentioning earlier about the Midianites and such, and when Moses is about to die, he and Joshua go up on he points out all the cities. And he says, the 7 cities that are walled, go high upon the city and tell the people, look, if you want to, you can become our bondsmen and bondsmen for life. If not, leave nothing but breathe. Okay? Now that's the Bible's suggestion on how we ought to conduct ourselves. You can be my slave or I'll kill you.
All religions.
Well,
That's
I get
that
it.
is a
No.
negotiation.
Well, no, I get it. I mean, you know, I understand the history of it. When in African American churches and they're singing about Jesus, people think they're singing about Jesus. No, they're singing about a boat, a ship, Jesus, that they need to get back on to get back home.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what they're singing about.
Yes.
So people think they're singing about the deity, you know. So it's a lot of,
Yes.
well, religion has brought a lot of, you know, angst to our society, unfortunately. You know, listening to this program on NPR, they're talking about the history of religion. And they were saying the most successful religions are the ones with the most punitive gods.
Yes.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Because if that God isn't punitive, then there's no recourse.
Right.
So religion needed to be created in villages because they needed to have some type of system in place to where if you're not sharing your food, then there's got to be some punishment for
Right.
that, right? You have to have some moral reason to share. So religion had to come in place. There are a lot of religions that do not have a punitive,
Right.
right? But they understand and have the respect of what creation happened and how you're part of that. No, it was a great program. It's on NPR. It was like last week or week before or so, called A Human Brain. You can probably go
Oh,
with-
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can probably
Yeah.
get the podcast.
Right.
Right. And it talks about
Yes,
Because if
exactly.
you don't know you're going to hell, then what's the ramifications, right? You know.
Well, I-
Well, not saying the arrest part, that's second. I'm saying that part.
That's
right?
why in the last century, the Catholics chose abortion as a way to build back up,
Yeah,
rather than because they saw that when the Protestants took a more lenient
Mhm.
view, that
yeah,
churches started to empty out.
there you go, see, so.
So they took
Yes.
It
You
is.
know,
And amongst the fundamentalists, the ones with the strictest
Yes.
Yeah.
rules
And it's
are
interesting.
the ones that are fastest.
Exactly. I was just going to say
the
that's,
church
Well, black community isn't a monolith. So
Right.
I know some other black communities say that it's pretty wealthy. So they're not one place where.
Well,
No,
and,
So
and
it's economics.
it is the economic status. Yeah.
Whoever lives in that is going to be,
Yeah.
whoever they are.
I can tell you, having grown up in West Virginia, that poverty breeds that whole thing with religion because you have nothing else. And that's the only hope you have is that, and you hang on to it like crazy, regardless of, yeah. Well, I was a fundamentalist long time ago. Yes. Church of Nazarene, honey, it was hellfire and damnation. And you are gonna burn in hell as far as, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, because you didn't belong to our church.
Catholics don't believe in hell. Yes, maybe I was the one that read it on Facebook, but this priest said that hell was invented because, you know, it's a punishment.
Yes.
So the thing is, he said, it's like, you know, it wasn't put in the Bible, I don't believe, and I don't think Jesus even said it. So, but the thing is if you start saying, okay, there's no hell, then there's no heaven.
Well, no, because, no, go ahead.
Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah. And well, mostly it was, from what I've read now, it's you're not with God. You kind of just die and that's it. But you wouldn't know any different then. But if you're a believer and you're true, it's like Hitler, if he repented on his deathbed, is in heaven. You know, but yes, exactly. Exactly.
It seems to me that also in regard to how religion got started, is that it's an extension of the nuclear family. There is within the family there's someone who does the punishments and rewards, and there it seems to me establishes a pattern which religions tend to continue, and so I kind of am not surprised that God the Father plays an important role, and His Son was a redemptive spirit meant to help us. And then there's that fuzzy spirit out there. I don't know what that's.
The Holy Ghost. The problem with that is the nuclear family did not really exist until the 50s, when people left their communities and moved away from their local community. It takes a village to raise a child. And that's how people were raised. Most of the history of human beings is you had village elders. So you had kind of the same thing. Yes, exactly. Yeah. But
I agree. As time went on, the nuclear family in anthropological sense became the dominant form.
currently it is the dominant form, unfortunately, because we're all so isolated, not several hundred years. No, it didn't really take off until the 50s. Okay. Exactly. the people, after World War II, people came back. They were not satisfied living in their small community after you've seen Paris. And so many in this country moved out. And that's when the nuclear family really took a stronghold in this country.
But it was a natural progression. We all have mothers and fathers, and that's been the case for.
Never.
I think that's why I became religious.
Yeah,
None of the people that I did was really my family, and I knew it.
yeah,
And that's why it feels so much to me more industrial.
yes,
Someone will
Yes.
take care of me. And we all need someone to take care of us.
yes, we do. We need each other. Yes,
Yes.
yes. And yeah, that's what that's all about. Exactly.
That's
No, they don't, because that's, they don't get to the root, and it's because it's not, it's hard. It's not easy. And yes, who knew healthcare was so hard? Yeah.
But are there things that are still going on that we should be looking at?
Well, there are, and it's funny you should ask that. Because I wanted to talk about some of the things that Atheists of Florida has done over the last few months, few weeks actually, that address some of that issue. And one of the things that that we need to look at in the future is the school system, the vouchers, where those are going, who's getting them, what they're doing with them, that kind of thing. But we also need, for instance, I got called by someone in Hernando County who was concerned that churches were using school facilities up there and not paying anything to use them. So I did a public Freedom of Information Act request to the schools up there and found out, yes, they are paying them. And they're all current because there have been schools that have used facilities and supposed to pay them, but never did. And Pasco County was really good because they had a thing on there that they had to disclaim. Any outside group that used a school facility had to disclaim that the school was not part of that group. Hernando County did not have that. We asked them to consider adding that, and I got a letter this week that they're going to add that as part of their thing. So then I looked, go ahead. Yeah, well, you know, in the past, we've worked with CAIR, CAIR, the Islamic relations, the Jewish community, not so much a Christian community, but those different groups that to approach about things that were like in Hillsborough County, the school system was, I can't remember the name of the church now. It's one of those big churches. Idlewild Baptist Church they gave teachers and staff this big shirt that said staff, and then the Idlewild symbol on their t-shirt, and then it said in little tiny letters, basically, you know, working with Idlewild Baptist Church or something, but it looked like these people were staff from Idlewild Baptist Church. And they were greeting students the first day of school with those t-shirts on. And also they were doing a lot of things in the school, which is good, you know, but they were really pushing their religion on students. So a whole bunch of us got together and went to the school superintendent, got some of that stopped. But yes, we do try to work with all the groups we can to approach these problems and build alliances and coalitions. Even with religious groups. Yeah.
They organize the other school.
Oh, they can.
No, I know they
Yeah.
can. Why don't they?
They do. They do.
They
Yeah.
agree on.
This wasn't the religious group greeting. This was the teachers and the faculty that were doing it. They were wearing by Idlewild Baptist Church.
So teachers there that are willing to wear shirts provided by here.
I'm sure. Yes. And they could.
I'm a 60s baby, so I've seen the plight, right?
Yes.
You know, like many here in this room, seen the plight. And I think things have changed. And I think the approach of advocacy has changed to where instead of fighting against, right? Because they're going to fight back.
Yes,
And they're not-
exactly,
and
exactly.
even if they're wrong, they're not going to admit it.
Right.
Because now it heals.
Yes.
So, you know, we know that there are people who voted for a certain person.
Yes, we do.
Right, who would say, who won't tell you,
Yeah.
your brother, right, won't tell you that they regret that. vote.
Right.
Because now it heals it. Because
Exactly.
you're attacking.
Right,
you're attacking
right.
Their process. You're attacking them personally. Now, they're not saying that. So instead of attacking, why don't, or, you know, I've been involved in LACP, every sale living, I'm involved in something. I get in trouble, but it is what it is. It's just, it's in my DNA.
That's okay.
That's why I'm here, right? So like vouchers, for example. Well, okay, if that's the case, then create schools that will accept vouchers for individuals who they don't really care for, right? Say, well, we're doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah.
Then what will be amazing? That's right. You go into, okay, you created the law, you open the door,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now, okay, now let us create opportunities to use those, because it's not just for Christians, right?
No,
And that's
that's
what we need to
right.
show them.
Yes, exactly.
It's not just for you. So when you open these laws, this is what we've been trying
Right.
to tell you.
Yes.
Is now there are schools for this, there's schools for this, and there are schools, because the door is open. now.
Exactly.
And things will change, because there's too many of them, right?
Yes.
There's too many of them, because it's all about the dominance. And
Yes.
they want to maintain the dominance.
And I agree with you. I think that's an excellent idea. The humanist group, and we did try, there was a charter school, the Carl Sagan Academy, that was established in Hillsborough County. Yes. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I'm sorry. Yes, it was named after Carl Sagan by a humanist group. Unfortunately, they didn't do a good job, and they actually failed. But you're right. We could start a school and open it up for people and accept vouchers, and be available. Yes. Because when you look at some of these private schools that accept vouchers, this one man who opened it was 21 years old, it was just garbage. It was just a ripoff. He did it out of his apartment. You know, it was nothing, but he was getting a fair amount of money from the government. How can they can't question your sincerity of what you believe. Yes, exactly. Right. Yes. Yes.
So either this is an issue or either it's not an issue.
And I think that's an excellent idea. If we could get somebody to do
That's what they're
it.
doing with abortion.
Yes. Right.
They know. And the only reason they're doing it so extreme is to force
Yes.
a legal, some legal
Yeah.
action.
And I think Warren just introduced a bill to codify abortion rights, which they should have done a long time ago, rather than depending on a judicial decision. But right now, it's probably not going to go anywhere because of the way they jury rigged all of the districts in the Republican favor. Conservative, I don't even say Republican, because there are many Republicans. I have learned it can be reasonable. There is a difference. And if you would like to help me put together a proposal for a school, I would be willing to do that.
Yeah, I would.
I don't know. I'd have to find out.
Just a matter of, copy is the same.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Right.
law.
Yes. But you have to have some plan. And yeah.
Create these circumstances, and they happen to have a legislature.
Right.
Will create these circumstances that will take it to the court, because they know it's going to get knocked down.
Right.
They know it's going to get knocked down there. Well, I'm sorry, district court. They know it's
Right.
going to get knocked down. And that's the whole point. Yes.
Yes.
Because we
We want to go to the Supreme
That's-
Court. Yes.
And we don't think.
Yes.
We think differently. Yeah. We think of trying to stop it.
He didn't have anything. The guy who started that school.
Get in the game with it, and then you know what the underlying issue is. Then you just make that issue more pronounced, because you know what the issue is. The issue is you don't want me
My good
or
connecting.
Muslim doing it. Right? So now since we're doing it, and they're
Yeah.
doing it,
We
okay,
have to
now.
look into that. There's so many things going on.
Not an expression of a universal.
Yeah, let's get to the root of what that really
Sure,
is.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to.
As Joe says, the best way to get rid of a bad law is to enforce it. Because once, that's what I said, once Islamic schools and, Jewish schools would be okay. They would accept that. But atheist schools, Satanist schools, once those people start applying to accept vouchers, they're going to, well, that's what I told the superintendent of Hillsborough County. I said, you're letting these people in. What are you going to do when the Satanists show up? Because you're going to have to let them in too.
We're gonna have to establish.
Yes, yeah. I don't want to go down that path personally. You can do that if you want to. It's hard enough being an atheist. But yes, you have to have, yeah. Yeah. And I love that idea. I'm just, I love that idea. I'm really seriously thinking about that. Start a school. School of critical
They're
thinking.
gonna have to get a lot bigger.
Yes.
What about the 21-year-old?
Yeah, he didn't have anything.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
They have no hesitation.
Yeah.
Hesitation of doing what they want to do.
Right.
See how we're going back and forth, right? I don't know about you. This guy, 21 years old, just have to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, they don't allow virtual schools in the voucher program. But we can, yes, that's all you need, yeah. Yeah. It doesn't exist anymore. But let me tell you that I wanted to, we have an opportunity to talk about this nationwide because, and I thought I had the notes on here about that conference, but I don't. Well, the AHA is having a virtual conference, American Humanist Association, beginning of June, free. And All you have to do is you can register and then they'll send you the notice. And now they have one of their caveats is that they really support public schools and don't like to do private schools, but they might be willing to consider this. That might be a good place to start. And then later in June, the American Ethical Union is having a conference here in Tampa. Yeah, you should have gotten an email about that. No, it's in June. Towards the end of the month. It's $140 if you just go for the 2 days, no dinner. Friday and Saturday, and you get lunch, but no dinner.
If you sign up for the newsletter, you can get this newsletter. And this is the current edition. The next edition comes out at the end of this month. And it will have further details on what the AEU, the American Ethical Union, is all about. And as well as a lot of other things. So there is tremendous opportunities to participate even locally in a lot of these things. We just came back from an AA convention. AHA is having its convention soon. And
the AA was American Atheists, Non-Alcoholics Anonymous. Thank you.
There's so many ways that people could participate.
Yes.
And we're so in need of members to make a difference. I mean, there's no point having an organization that has 3 members. How much power can you exercise with that? But if we have 3,000 members, or 300,000, or 3 million, we make a difference. And it's up to us to try
Yes, you do have to create alliances, and you have to do things. You can't just sit in a library and meet. You have to get out and do things where people see you're actually doing stuff. And having said that, what? Oh, yes. Speaking of which, and also one of the things that I wanted to talk about doing was having a picnic in the park. However, I have a twist on that. There's a park where mostly homeless people hang out in downtown Tampa. And what I would like to do is go and have a picnic there, take plenty of food, and invite them to join us. And I've been in contact with Life Ring, which is an addiction recovery, secular addiction recovery thing, which we don't have a chapter here in Tampa, but they do in Pinellas. So, I wanted to see if they would join us at that picnic too. Yes, but they can't stop you from having a picnic and inviting people to come to your picnic. Yeah. Yes, exactly. But the school thing, I'm really intrigued by the school thing and to see what the criteria is for doing a school, and going after the vouchers and then getting turned down and sue them. That's the whole point. Yeah. Yes. Well, we have, yes, we do. I think we could talk to, what's his name? No. Oh, well, that too, but.
Go for that guy. What is his name? The one who advertised it.
Oh, Morgan and Morgan.
They are very liberal people.
They are, but that wouldn't matter. But we have somebody who serves as a legal advisor to our group, the atheist group, that I would go to. And then if you can pass this around, we're also affiliated with the Secular Coalition of America, and their big focus this coming year is on addiction recovery and doing secular, providing secular support for that. And they're looking for volunteers if you're interested in becoming what they call rapid responder. So when they have something that some legislation that comes up, they let you know, and they want you to call your legislator or visit their office and things like that. So well, they're going to get that. Don't worry. You let Nan have that, and I'll give you one later. I'll mail it to you. I think the Satanists, I think I will contact them. I can't afford to join their group. It's too expensive. Yeah, it's $250 to join the Satanist church. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, seriously. Because they're not really Satanists.
No, just, yeah.
Yes. What we would do is work with them in terms of starting a school here in Florida. And an atheist school, and a humanist school, and a Satanist school, flying spaghetti monster school, gay school, why not? Yeah. Yes, exactly. And they will change that law quickly. He's right. Cedric, thank you very much. That's excellent, excellent. Sometimes we get too caught up in our own little world that we don't think about expanding. Yeah. And maybe CFI would be interested in starting a school. Rick is on here, so. Dawkins, they could have a Dawkins school, and Center for Inquiry. Yeah. But that's excellent, and no, it isn't, but it's an excellent one for us to approach that way. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, she was. She was not just, it's not the way she was depicted. It was not a coincidence. Yes, exactly. Yes, yes. That was very well planned. Yes, yes. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah.
And I have this girlfriend that says, that's why America's balance, we don't fight that, but when she said, in God we trust, and they passed it, and everybody's going, amen, amen, and I wrote, I will be praised. She got so insulted, and a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
On the list were ex-Marines, and they're saying, how dare you mock God?
But Allah is the same God that they worship. Exactly.
They don't get it.
Yeah, because there is.
Yeah.
The reaction was.
Well,
With their own fire.
yeah. Yes. And I'm in contact with CARE in Tampa. We are coming close to the end of our meeting time, room reservation here. Would you, if people, yeah, we're going to go eat if people want to go and continue the conversation. And, okay. Shame on you, shame on you. That's an inside joke, sorry. So I was looking at places for us to go eat. Well, I found a place down in Florida. What was the name of it? Do you remember? No one, Tiffany.
It was like 4 letters, 3 or.
Well, there is a place down there called the, crap. Yeah. It is the 18th. Also, any suggestions for topics for next month? We'll be at the AEU convention. So we won't be having a meeting here because it's the same weekend as the 3rd American Ethical Union convention. But in August, is there a topic, or maybe we can have a work session on how to start a school?
Do they have one next month in the Union?
Yes.
Talk to him, he's in charge.
I will get the address and I'll try to arrange it.
We'll send you the newsletter.
Other people better watch out, they don't make their choice.
Actually, they did a study and it's more efficient to always turn right. They did a study and it's more efficient to always turn right than to take a left turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did this on Mythbusters, I think it was. They went and yeah, they did a study. So, yeah, but you tell her you're safer and more efficient, gas-wise, by always making right turns. Well, yeah. Goes against my philosophy of always go left. But, anyway, so if you think of any topics you would like to discuss next time, we'll have a report on the school issue. I really want to do that. I really.
Also on some of the brochures, which I hope everyone has taken advantage of, because you can't be a real genius unless you have a colorful brochure. But at any rate, what we're going to say now.
I don't know. Brochures. And I have some buttons if anybody needs a button. I've got it's your hell you burn in it. Oh yeah, don't wear it to work. Pass these around, people can take one.
And he said, tomorrow is Good Friday. I said, yes, we are getting paid, it's Good Friday. These guys so annoyed, put me on the side. I said, that's not what Good Friday is for us. Well, I mean, that's how I believe.
Yeah.
It's a paid, it's a Good Friday. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
You work there?
No, just.
Yeah.
Feel free to take a button.
Military.
Yeah, well, if I take something,
Marine Corps, Capital.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the name of
it
it?
starts with a T, that's right.
Sunflower.
Yeah, I know that.
Oh, I love that, but they already shunned. They have shunned it now, but I don't care, that's the thing, that my view, that's a good part.
I didn't even get to go over some of the things like that. Yes. The school board in Pinellas County, straight Christians for their invocations. I wrote them, they wrote back. We're getting that fixed. Well, basically, they said, told them we would do it, and there was a humanist group that could offer it. And they said, send me the information. They're trying to figure out where we went last time, but I'm looking at that, well, when Helton was here.
Trips.
Trips.
Trips Diner, it's on, Florida.
But there was a sandwich. Yeah, I found someplace that was closer than that. And what's the name of that area? No, the what? Sulphur Springs Sandwich Shop. Yeah.
That's south of Seminole.
No, it's right, it's pretty close to here. Sulphur Springs Sandwich Shop. Right. It's, oh, Publix. I thought you were saying about the grocery store, Publix. Do we have any dietary restrictions on anyone? Not you. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the turkeys come to my house except for Donald Trump.
Put out the right seeds.
I did already.
Sulphur Springs Sandwich Shop, and it's like a sulphur, they opened up a water office.
That's where we're going.
Is that where people want to go? You go up Bush, go out to Bush, take a right, go to Florida, take a right, and it's on your right. I'll give you the, it's at 9,000, where to go? North Florida Avenue. You when you pull out of here, you will have to take a left. Well, you don't have to. You could go right. It's a little bit longer, not much. Let me get.
So I know how to get to Bush because I won't make a. And where near the gator.
So you're going to take a right on Bush. Take a right on Bush. Take a right on Florida, and it's on your right. Now, I'm looking to see how you would go to get there without having to go out to Bush. But it's, yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, it might be easier to go right out of here, but then you have to take a left on Humphrey. Yeah, it's very close.
Is it walking distance?
No, it's not. It's, yeah.
It won't do it when I did.
Yeah, of course. 9,000 North Florida. Why is it? Is Bush Boulevard closed up there for construction? It's got me.
3 miles. From 0.9 miles. Not even a full mile.
Would you like to? How much would it cost?
I don't know why it's
I'll
showing.
bring you back here.
Oh, you're so kind. Would you do that?
Sure. I'm gonna go.
Helping the elderly.
Cedric, are you going to join us? They have, it's a sandwich shop, so they have, yeah, and salads. Yeah. Yeah, me too.
I just said to Robert Bush and
I believe that. The only concern I have is when I look at this, it wants me to go off Bush Boulevard. I don't know if there's construction going on or what. It's got me turning left here, up here, and then back down. I don't know why. Oh, unless maybe I've got it. Yeah, I guess so.
Taking a real roundabout way too.
Yeah,
I don't understand why you can't just go right on Florida Avenue.
you should be able to.
You see directions that take you all the way.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if there's, I'm just wondering if there's a construction or something going on.
There was at the railroad tracks, but
Oh,
I haven't seen it recently.
It's a Saturday, it can't be too bad.
well, we'll find out.
Where did the?
She went to the bathroom. Great.